Hello, my loves. How are you? Welcome to this Facebook Live. I'm so excited to be here. Today, we're talking about mastering yourself, mastering reality. And what I want to tell you straight away, folks, is if you don't understand this, it's going to open up a whole new world to you. Because until you master yourself, you will never master reality because it is an interface, right? There is an interface between you and reality all the time. And what I want you to get and understand is reality is constantly reflecting to you who you're being. What does that mean? It means you have so much power in the meaning that you place in things and in your projections that you put onto reality. Have you ever noticed, folks, like if life isn't going well and how reality can just keep on bringing you more and more crap? You get to flip that the other way around, where life is really, really good and life just continues to bring you more and more goodness. Understanding yourself in relationship to reality is everything. It is the secret to happiness. It is the secret to great relationships. It is the secret to inner peace. It is the secret to being aligned with the God of your heart. It is the secret to the creation of all your desires. In order to master life and create everything that you want, you must master yourself. You are having a moment to moment creative relationship with reality through who you're being. So let's jump into it, folks. Good to have you here if you're joining me. I'm just going to bring up Facebook because I can't see comments. So, folks, how are you? What is happening in your life and world? Right? Do you understand the correlation between yourself and reality? Right? And the thing is, folks, like what you want to understand to start with is that the universe is kind of impartial. If you're having a personal relationship with the universe where God is a person in your reality, I would very highly encourage you to explore making it less personal. Because when it's personal, it's easy to get offended, right? It's easy to be in a circumstance where you feel like God is punishing you or life is working against you. And what you need to understand is that as a human, the universe gave you power, gave you infinite intelligence. It didn't send you here without a map, but it put the infinite intelligence inside of you, which is why we always need to go inwards, which is part of the spiritual awakening process. To be the person who goes, for me to create my reality out there, I need to look in here. And this is often why you might feel like, I'm just not creating what I want, or why isn't it happening for me? I'm putting all this effort in and I'm not seeing the results that I prefer in my reality. It is not about reality, right? It's about you. And that can be confronting sometimes. It can be like, you have to take more responsibility, not less. More responsibility to actually look inside yourself and going, what is going on with me that I'm not creating my ideal out there? Because one of my favorite laws of the universe is the law of correspondence. And it states, as above, so below, as within, so without. Looking at the as within, so without, who you're being on the inside is being reflected to you precisely by the universe right at this moment. Right? The universe, I kind of see it like the universe knows your energetic frequency. This is infinite intelligence that we're talking about. The universe knows where you're at. It knows what you've got going on. It knows what you're focused on. It knows what you're upset about. It knows what you're dealing with. It knows everything about you. It knows where your energetic frequency is. And if you don't know about frequency, I've got it right here, but it will be the other way around because it's on. Oh no. Your frequency, right, is made up of your beliefs, your thoughts, especially the emotionally charged ones, your perspective, your focus. That's so big. Focus is alignment, folks. Your identity and your emotions, which are the language of the subconscious, and certainty and conviction. Because this is the thing which happens for people when they go to create something. They go to create something, but then they have uncertainty, they have doubt. And when you have doubt, you're doubting God, right? You're doubting infinite intelligence. And because you are infinite intelligence, you're doubting yourself. Reality just reflects that to you like a mirror. And that slows your manifestation down. If you have absolute certainty in your manifestations, they're going to land quickly. But tomorrow I'm going to talk in another group, Elegant Wealth, about the 3 planes that need to be lined up for your manifestations to drop in. So if you don't know what those 3 planes are, I'd encourage you to come join me on that Facebook Live, because people don't get them lined up and then they wonder, why is this not working for me? I'm putting all this effort in, I'm doing my journaling, I'm doing my affirmations, I'm showing up. And then often too, they've got a compartmentalized viewpoint of manifestation, which is, I'll sit down and do this journaling for an hour, and then they'll get into the energy of abundance, they'll focus on wealth creation, and then they'll go and spend the next 23 hours of the day in scarcity. If your frequency is being read by the universe moment to moment to moment, what would the universe be knowing about you? That maybe 23 of those hours are spent in more uncertainty and doubt. And again, this is very human, but you can see what happens, right? We focus on it and then we go out into the world and we're not actually being abundant. We're kind of hoping or wishing. We don't have certainty around it. We haven't actually done the work to shift our frequency. So you can literally, when you are living in the energy of gratitude, rather than feeling like gratitude is a performance or something that I have to do because that's what good girls do, it's actually genuine. Like I genuinely feel grateful for the life that I've created. There is no underlying energy of disappointment, which is the biggest wound for women. I'm disappointed. I didn't get what I wanted. I'm disappointed. Oh my God, he broke my heart. I'm disappointed. Oh my goodness, my business isn't going the way that I want. I'm disappointed. And then that disappointment kind of collapses your frequency. And then you're not a match to your desire. And then you feel like, oh my goodness, I'm just getting more of what I don't want because you've started focusing on it. Right? So really starting to understand, folks, you have more power than you think, right? Because it's not really a thinking process, it's a being process. It's an energy, it's a vibration, it's a frequency, which is the language of the universe. You are so freaking powerful, but if you don't understand how all this componentry works, you're often going to feel like manifestation is hard or it's difficult. And it's not, but it is different than what you think, right? Because it is about moment to moment to moment to moment. Who am I being? Am I being somebody who trusts and knows that what I'm creating is downloading now? Or am I pushing my manifestations into the future by going, oh, that'll happen next month or next year or in 100 years? You don't want it in 100 years. You want it now. But that means you need to change who you're being in order to receive it. Because if your frequency is not a match to your desire, it won't come in. Right? It won't come in. And that's about who you're being. And one of the first things that you often need to concentrate on is being safe inside of yourself. And that means if you are doing any form of self-attack, that's not going to feel safe, is it? If you are doing any form of berating yourself or putting yourself down, which, folks, is putting God down. Hello? You are a child of the universe. When you attack yourself, you are attacking infinite intelligence. It's the fastest way to mess up your life. The judgment has to go. And this is not just of self, of other people. To shift from judgment into acceptance is one of the best things that you can do for your manifestations because it's going to shoot your frequency through the roof. Because God is not judging you. God doesn't have a moral code. We do, right? But we project our moral code onto God, going, oh, this is what being good looks like, and this is what being bad looks like. And often, too, there's religious imprinting from that as well, like sinners and saints, like I'm such a sinner and I'm never going to get there because God can see what a sinner I am, like all the guilt that can be held. But that's not who you are. Like you're an innocent child of the universe. Until you come to know yourself as such, it is going to be extremely difficult to be in a higher frequency and therefore create what you want. Right, there is a timeline right now, folks, or in a lifetime where you are experiencing everything that you desire, like crazy money. Like, you know how I think a lot of entrepreneurs, when they come and work with me, they want to create like a money tornado. They want to live in that place where the money's just flying in, right? The windows are open, the money's coming in, the clients are coming in. But that starts from the inside out. That starts from getting really comfortable with your own power proposition. That starts by realizing, yes, the universe did give me a lot of power and I fully intend to use it to create my reality. I'm going to bring all the componentry together because it's not about sitting down for an hour and writing out my manifestations. It's about being it, living it, breathing it. And the universe can tell if you're lying to yourself, right? Right? It can tell if you're truly there and aligned or if you're trying to get at it. And I get it because often, too, we have to do a couple of things, right? We have to focus our mind there where we want to be. But we also have to get there emotionally. And that's often the deeper work, right? To go deep into your subconscious and pull out and defragment all the stuff that's not in alignment with your ideal. Now, some of that can be self-worth. You had a shitty experience and it left you with an internalized message that you're not good enough. And then you want to go and step into this incredibly lifestyle. Your subconscious is going to go, but that's not, that's not for you. You're not allowed that. And what makes you think you deserve that? Who do you think you are, even allowing yourself to think that way? Oftentimes for people, when they think about that, they can feel like they're in a fantasy. And then the rational brain comes in and starts rationalizing it, right? And going, that's not available for you. Who do you think you are? Right? You're a child of the universe, you're infinite intelligence. You have to let go, folks. One of the best things you can do for yourself is let go of all the freaking identities that you think you are. Mother, sister, child, whatever your name is, all the labels and identities, you are not any of that. You are this infinite intelligence, this consciousness. You are the observer, right? Like you are an extension of God. You are living in the mind of God. God is experiencing itself through you. So when you understand that, right? Like I'm not my mind, I'm not my body, I'm not any of these identities, I am identityless. Then you get to choose to create. And I want you to think about it this way. However old you are, how many different versions of you have you been since you were a child? I would say probably millions, right? Because every day sometimes you can show up, like I'm like that often. I'm like, oh, I'm a different person today than I was yesterday. So you're interacting and you're being different in relationship to reality. And this is something that you get to cultivate. This is why one of the best things you can do in order to create a life that you love is cultivate happiness, cultivate enthusiasm, which literally means in spirit, cultivate the excitement that you would be experiencing if you already had your desire. And what happens, right, is people often don't identify with having the end result, like being a millionaire, being a multi-millionaire, being even a billionaire these days is not really too hard, right? If you're really allowing yourself to stretch into the energetics, right? It's totally possible. And again, I saw a study about this a wee while ago that in the last, I think, 20, 30 years, they've gone from like hundreds of billionaires to thousands, like 3,000 or something, just in the last 30 years. Like now more than ever is the time where you can create mega wealth, internet, AI, etc., right? Technology. But being a person, right, who you have to identify with that. If you don't identify with that, meaning I get to be that, I get to have that, I get to be the person who's cultivating that, you will never become it because you'll always feel separate from it. And this is where people who really understand consciousness and understand frequency are using frequency to create outcomes. Because what people miss too is they think that they're doing it. I'm doing it, right? I'm creating this. And yes, to an extent, in the respect that this body has applied the energy, the consciousness, the certainty, the focus. But everything is created through source, folks, because that's where all creation comes from. So, in some ways, that's good because you can relax into knowing that you have the infinite intelligence that helped Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos become billionaires. It's available to you. But in order for you to be able, not that saying that you want to be like them, no matter what your opinion is of them, but again, no judgment, right? To be a person who's choosing, who do I wish to become in this lifetime? And then setting about with every fiber of your being to become that. It is not an hour a day process. It is a moment to moment to moment to moment experience because you are being yourself 24/7. You are being this consciousness. And this is the thing. One of the best things you can do as well is focus your attention on this infinite intelligence. Focus is alignment. When you start focusing more on the universe, this infinite intelligence inside of you, there is no separation between you and this infinite intelligence. You are it. You're going to see miracles in your life because the universe is the creator of miracles. So it makes sense to focus your attention on this infinite intelligence and cultivate a relationship with the universe, with God, whatever you call it, source energy, whatever it is in your, your culture, etc., or in your own personal belief system. It doesn't actually matter because it works the same. You focus on goodness, right? God is good. You focus on what is good. You focus on how amazing you are. You let go of the fear or self-attack so you can live in a greater sense of safety. It's going to be so much easier to create more of what you want, right? And sometimes folks, right, like most of the work in order to create what you want is emotional, right? We can be holding stuff inside of ourselves from something somebody said years ago. I'm sure if you go into your mind, you could think of things that have been said to you that have really hurt you. And it's not necessarily what's said, it is how you feel about it, right? And what you made it mean. Because we can have somebody say to us something really unkind, and if we internalize that as I'm not good enough, then it's impacting your frequency. And literally, because the subconscious is only ever living in the now, what somebody said to you 20 years ago can still be present in your subconscious now. And again, this is why, and you might think, oh, why do we have to do that? Why do we have to look inside of ourselves to kind of create more of what we want? Because that's where God is, right? Like if you're thinking about it, it's actually a very infinitely intelligently designed system because everybody looks outside of themselves to create what they want. And truly, to become an amazing manifester, an infinite creator, you look inside yourself. You become the person who's looking inside of yourself all the time. What's there? What is it that I'm ignoring? What is the feeling that I haven't allowed myself to feel? What am I making that mean? Because this is often what happens, right? The the sensation of an emotion will come up and the brain will register that and the brain will go, oh, that feels uncomfortable. I don't want to do that. And I was thinking about this morning. If you don't know how to manage yourself through a trigger, like something happens in life, and also, too, if you're feeling like you're being attacked by life, that's an indication of self attack. When things go wrong, putting that in inverted commas because that's a concept, right? That it's wrong, you want to see it as an invitation. I'm being invited into a greater power proposition. Because when stuff goes sideways, your power is in how you choose to respond to it. Right? Who am I going to be right now? Am I going to be this person who is like, well, this is crap, and then feel defeated by it? Or are you going to be the person who's like, wow, what is it that I'm looking to learn here? Or what is the invitation? Who would I need to be in order for this not to be a problem? Remember, Einstein said that, right? You can't solve a problem from the same frequency that it was created from, which can you see when things go sideways, you're always being invited. And I know a lot of the light workers that I work with, they've had plenty of things, right? Like at times it has felt like you have been a spiritual warrior because it has felt like the universe has just kept on coming and coming and coming, right? Like everybody I talk to, everybody has their stuff. It's fine. It's how you deal with it and what you make it mean. Because people every day are letting their story, and it literally is a story, because if it's not happening in this moment, it happened in the past and now it is just a story, and how you feel about that story is important. You want your past to feel light, folks. That story can be literally impacting your ability to create what you want in the here and now. And you need to become the person who knows how to alchemize. I can turn any kind of shit into gold, just like that. That's how you become really powerful. Right? And again, when there is negative emotion present too, it's not wrong. It's just showing you something. But if you ignore it, that's like shoving the body under the carpet and then inviting people over for tea, isn't it? And saying, oh, don't look at that. Right? And that's, of course, people are going to trip over that because you haven't addressed it inside of yourself. This is why, folks, all of life is reflecting to you the relationship that you're having with yourself. And of course, this is what we do in Intuitive Mastery. We help you to create a relationship with yourself that is rock solid, that you become your own best friend, that you become your biggest cheerleader, that you have this infinite intelligence inside of you that is guiding you and supporting you. Instead of having that support team behind the veil be pushed back, they come forward. Any feelings of kind of like loneliness or isolation melt away because you start to understand how supported you are. You understand what a vested interest all your ancestors have in your life. Right? It's going to be goosebumps, right? Hi, right? You want to talk to your deceased loved ones, folks. They can literally help you because they're on the other side so they can see more than you can. If you've got stuff going on in your life, they can help you smooth it out. They are literally there supporting you, cheering you on. But you have to be the person who initiates. And this is the thing. God gave you free will. So you can ignore this infinite intelligence inside of you. You can ignore the support teams that are available for you. But why would you? Why would you? Your relationship that you have with yourself is going to be a relationship that you have for the rest of your life. It is the most important relationship. How you feel about yourself is how you feel about God. And if that's not in a good place, it makes it very difficult for the universe to give to you. Think about it. If you don't like somebody, you don't really want to spend time with them. It's the same with the universe. If you don't like yourself, it makes it difficult to spend time with the universe. And often what will happen is because reality is a mirror and it's reflecting to you, that hurts, right? The greatest pain to the human spirit is to be disconnected from the truth of who they are, which means to be disconnected from God. We cause ourselves so much pain and suffering because we're not focusing our attention on what is real. Like, I have created a life that I can't even begin to explain sometimes because of my relationship with the universe. Truly. And I feel incredibly grateful for that. Right? Because I'm sure you all know, folks, I'm getting emotional. Because like when you have been through the arc of suffering and then you realize, like people tell you spiritual truths and you're like, oh God, right? Like suffering is an illusion. And you're like, excuse me, right? It definitely does not feel like an illusion when I'm in the experience of it. But then you start to realize, well, your focus is in a place that is incorrect because you are loved, you are whole, you are complete. So the pain is caused by moving away from God. You move back again, that suffering, you will start to really understand, is an illusion. And your relationship, folks, even with pain, that gets upgraded when you start working with the universe because you're going to see it in a completely different way. It's not going to overwhelm you. It's not going to feel hopeless. You're going to understand it in a completely different way. You're actually going to understand that anger is your friend, that despair has a purpose, that your jealousy is showing you something, that your hurt is looking to be loved and embraced, not rejected and discarded. So again, you learn what it is to create a relationship with negative emotions, which neutralizes them because you're willing to love them and accept them rather than reject them and make them wrong. Spirituality, folks, isn't about just embracing your spirit or your soul. It is about embracing all of you as a human, all the messiness, all the stuff that it looks like, oh my God, it's not working, because you know who you are and you have more faith and trust in the unseen than what you can see with your own eyes. That is a very different way to experience reality. Remember, you can only see 0.0035% of all the light frequency with your physical eyes. That's less than 1%. I can tell you right now, there are angels and guides standing right next to you. There are deceased loved ones standing right next to you. They will be listening in on this conversation as you are, wanting to know that you are loved, that you are never alone, that you are always supported, that you always have help, that you can get the answers to all your questions, that God will speak to you if you initiate the conversation because you were given free will. You must initiate. Right? You must be the person who's like, yes, I want to create a relationship with this infinite intelligence. Now, if you do that, you're going to walk through a portal into a different dimension. And I know that sounds kind of dramatic, but it's true. Your life as you know it will never be the same. You will not be the same person. Your consciousness is going to shift. Higher consciousness is higher frequency. Higher frequency is a match to outrageous outcomes, folks. Right? Like the sky is like life is like a playground, right? The sky is the limit in terms of what you create. The universe, and I want you to tune into this because I know that you will all know this on a soul level. I want you to tune into your frequency. Like, where is your frequency in relationship to the universe? Like, your frequency could multiply by hundreds of thousands, and you would still not even be reaching your full potential. Because God is the highest frequency. And when you start living from a very expanded energy field, oof, you're going to attract opportunities like crazy. Like, a beautiful client that I was talking to yesterday, day before, 3 opportunities just from like, this is what I want to create, putting it out to the universe, boom. How does it happen that quickly? Because you're the frequency, right? You're the frequency that matches it. And that comes from the moment to moment to moment relationship I'm having with myself. Do I see myself as valuable? Or am I giving my power away? Do I see a difficult situation in my life as an opportunity to grow into a completely different person? And who might that be? Like the people who have triggered you in your life, folks. That is an invitation. It's an invitation into greater power. If you don't see it as an invitation, you're just going to loop in negative energy and then create more of that in your reality, because reality is always reflecting to you who you're being. Right? This is where it's life changing often to just even understand that. There is no bullshit that happens in your reality. There is nothing wrong. There's only invitations. Invitations into who do I need to be that this isn't a problem anymore. And I get it. Some of those perceived problems can be very compelling. They can be devastating to your ego, because your ego is going to be the part of you that's going, this shouldn't be happening. Oh my God, I can't believe they said that. What a bitch, right? One of the things that came up in Magnetic to Money the other day was like being a good girl, and how much being a good girl can mess up your life. Being a good girl, folks, is a label, right? It's also highly subjective, because your version of being a good girl could be completely different from mine. But I tell you what, if we're using labels, being the opposite or being beyond the label of good girl has served me way better. And I don't want to use the label of bad girl, because also too, that's just a frickin' label. But can you see what happens? We get tied into a label and we go, this is the way that I need to behave. And people will often do that, even if it's making them miserable. And and this is why women get so angry, right? Because they're like, I'm sick of doing shit that I don't really want to do. I want to live from a place of passion. It's time to put me first, which is putting God first, right? And leading from that place. But most people, like I said on the call, most people, like God is at the bottom of their to-do list, which just, when you really understand consciousness, does not make sense. When God is your highest priority in your life, because that is who you are, everything in your life is going to change. Everything is going to get taken care of, because God is going to show you what needs to happen, right? Like, you want to align with an insane lifestyle, that you're traveling, that you're making great money, that you hang out with amazing people, that you're loving your life, you're having amazing relationships. That's going to require you to be a certain person and to be a certain frequency. And often what happens for people, right, as soon as they choose that, the universe very kindly shows them, the shit you're holding on to, it has to go, because it's not a match. But the way you respond to that is everything. If you look at that and go, oh, this is such a problem. Oh my God, this shouldn't be happening. I've decided on having this lifestyle. No, it's perfect. It's like, whoa, thank you, universe, for showing me what needs to go. Right? Like, if you're moving house into a whole new location, into a whole new way of being, there's going to be stuff that you don't take from your old house, right? Keep it rational, because it actually is. But often too, what happens is people can feel like life is beating me up or attacking me, or who am I being in relationship to what I'm seeing. And our perceptions are everything, especially the perceptions that you had as a child, because you're bringing those with you into this moment unless you've taken care of them. And that's why it's so important. This is why, like, I see intelligent, funny, clever, insanely miraculous people, and they never allow themselves to go for it. They don't give themselves full permission to be totally themselves because on some level maybe they're holding shame or guilt. And often too, right, like shame and guilt is kind of at the other opposite spectrum of God, right? Because God's the highest frequency and shame and guilt is the lowest frequency. So, to move into your relationship with the universe, that's gotta go, right? Can't be having a awesome relationship with yourself, with the universe, and hold on to shame and guilt. It has to go. And sometimes that can be uncomfortable for people to go, I'm not taking this with me. The universe is never beating you up, folks. It's always showing you something. It doesn't see you as a victim. It sees you as a leader, a light leader. And that if you're willing to step in and say yes to your leadership, the universe will show you the way. That's exactly what happened for me. I've seen it happen with a million other people. I've seen it happen with a million clients. The universe has got you. It knows what you want to experience. It's rooting for you, but you're the one who decides because it gave you the power. This is why, like, if you notice that you are distracted, that's a choice, right? If you say to your things like, oh, I procrastinate all the time, that's you letting an energy inside of you be bigger than your power to take action. Because you probably got some messaging around what it means to procrastinate, right? What you're doing in a way is you're delaying your power. But again, if procrastination served you on some level as a child, then it just needs to be taken care of here and now, right? Maybe procrastination felt safer when you were a kid. But you have to have the conscious awareness of that. And that's why, working with a coach who's psychic, when you can see that and shift that, boom, you get aligned with your ideal frequency. Folks, I can tell you in 15 minutes where you are out of alignment with your desire. In fact, maybe I'll do some free business audits in regards to that. I can shift the energy for you in like half an hour. Right? I can show you what it takes to be lined up with your insane ideal outcomes. Like ideal outcomes that your brain probably thinks right now is a fantasy because it's so far removed from your current reality. And you know what? Your soul loves this conversation because your soul is always like, let's expand, right? Let's go. There's so much more, right? Your soul knows that. So if you haven't spoken to me about intuitive mastery, our first official call is next Tuesday. We're working on the times at the moment. That's just like the soft launch. You'll still have time to join, folks. And intuitive mastery is evergreen, which means that you can join at any time. However, when I do a launch, you get it at the best investment. So now's the time to move. If you want to make 2026 the year that you live from infinite intelligence, right? That you stop allowing your ego to diminish what you're capable of receiving. When you're willing to shift the power proposition inside of yourself and give yourself full permission to actually have what you really want beyond what your mind can even comprehend because it's being created by infinite intelligence. If you want to understand yourself at a deeper level, intuitive mastery is the go-to. Like this is my baby, right? Like I have spent over 20 years studying consciousness, studying manifestation, studying what works. I have cracked the code for myself, do that with my one-on-one clients. I know how this works. I know how consciousness works. I know how reality works. I know what it is to move through a trigger, just like that. Had a client who had a tricky situation, half an hour. In a personal romantic situation, half an hour, folks. Right? You get to live in a completely different reality, but you must choose it yourself, because when you choose yourself, you are choosing God. When you choose yourself, all the company of heaven starts singing hallelujah, right? When you choose your infinite intelligence, even if it's like, I don't know where I'm going to end up, but I know that this infinite intelligence inside of me can show me the way. You will open doors in front of you. Like literally, folks, you will open doors where you thought it was a wall, because that's how magical it feels when you work with universal frequency. And this is who you are. So, falling in love with infinite intelligence, falling in love with yourself, falling in love with God, it is the answer to all your perceived problems. It is the most powerful relationship you will ever have. It is the most powerful relationship you will ever have, because there is nothing that is more powerful than God. And it is within you, and cultivating this relationship will change your life. You know, folks, I talked previously about, excuse me, about being at school and being 15 and winning the religious studies prize and being mortified, right? Like I was so embarrassed. I felt like such a geek. Oh, it was terrible. I felt humiliated, right? I felt embarrassed. And now here I am as an intuitive coach, as an advocate for the divine all these years later, knowing that even as a 15-year-old, I was onto something. I'm not a silly cookie. I know power when I see it. And your fascination with infinite intelligence, it will show you things that blow your mind. I can't even begin to tell you all the miracles I have experienced through doing this work. From seeing somebody in a shitty situation, releasing the energy, and then boom, oh my God, they've got all these opportunities, all these resources, because they're creating it from the inside out. They let go of the heaviness, boom, they go up in the world. And because they go up energetically, they're a match to all the things that are waiting for them. And think about that. Your ideal reality, what does it take to become a match? I'll show you how to do it in Intuitive Mastery. And the beautiful thing about doing this work, folks, you have to bet on yourself. It's not about me, right? It's not about my program. It's about you and your power, and getting comfortable with that and being facilitated into a relationship with this infinite intelligence, so you trust it explicitly, right? Like you're not thinking about anything else. You're like, no, I know the universe has got me, because I've got me, because I've decided. So I'm very excited. I love Intuitive Mastery. It is so much fun, and it is so amazing to see people really live in awe and wonder because of this infinite intelligence inside of them, because they're connecting with the truth of who they are. So let's have a conversation. I've put the link below. Send me a message if you want to talk and ask questions. In the meantime, folks, I hope you understand, right? Until you have mastered yourself, you will always feel like reality has more power than you do. And that's not true, because reality is created from the inside out, right? Like it's not a nice story. It's not entertainment. It's not marketing, folks. It's spiritual truth. Unless you are fully taking the reins and taking 1,000% ownership of your inner experience, you will never see outrageous outcomes in your reality. Life might be good, but the thing is, right, your soul always wants to expand. And if you don't know how to navigate your ego, or you don't know how to navigate fear, you're never going to pop into a crazy reality where you're experiencing that money tornado, or you're experiencing the outcomes that you prefer. Right? Back yourself, back the universe, see what happens. I'm sending you so much love. You have an amazing day. Lots of love, everybody. Bye for now. Bye.